Welcome back to Cards and Comics. Today I'm going to be doing my first comic book mail day of the year, and it's contractually obligated by YouTube terms of service. If you have comics in the title of your YouTube channel, you have to do at least one comic book video every 6 months. So here is my comic book related video, and that's sort of a jab at myself because, I don't do as many, let's say, comic book videos as I do card videos. It's just how I collect. It's sort of in stages, and I've been really active this year getting comic books versus cards. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about comic books in the next couple of videos. I'm going to break up what I've got into kind of stuff for my personal collection, and then stuff I buy for sale at comic book conventions, things I bring with me as inventory. So that'll be video 2. Video 1 will be just my personal collection pickups, and we'll start here with some Golden Age fun, and these are L.B. Cole books. So the first one up is Witch's Tale, number 8. And again, this is raw, and these are all complete books. Some of them have some staple issues, so there's a few of these books, L.B. Cole books I picked up. But they're all complete. All of them have covers attached. And right now, after some of the auctions I've seen recently, and, Alex the Comic Quarter had a really good show where he sold some books. The market's really strong for raw Golden Age. And again, obviously, if I wanted to maximize value, I could get them graded. But right now, I'm going to keep them raw. But I do plan on getting some of my L.B. Cole and Schomburg books that I've got raw graded. I probably now have close to 30 Schomburg and Cole books raw that I need to get graded just to get them in holders, because it's not really about the condition and the grade and the value. It's really if I want to trade them or move them for other things, I would want to get them graded. But this first book here is one of my favorite covers, and he's got a lot of great covers, but this is Witch's Tale, and I'll let you see. And I love his use of color. So in this case, it's that purple and green. And anyone who knows L.B. Cole knows the 3 colors that say L.B. Cole are orange, red, and green. So here you've got yellow, you've got green. And of course, this was an orange and purple versus purple background. It would be perfect for Cole. But it's still a very nice book. I'll just see the spine a little bit. Again, you're not going to get high grade books like this very often. And so this to me is very much in that collector's grade. And it's just a really nice cover of a book that sells, incredibly well in any condition. So Witch's Tale, number 8, L.B. Cole cover. All right, next up, I'm going to try to do this so I don't knock things over. I'll go this one because the one on top here is probably the number 1 book here, but this is Spook, Suspense, and Mystery. I'm trying to think what number this is. Some of these are hard to see what number they are. This is 28. And again, for people who've seen this cover, obviously, this is, again, classic L.B. Cole. Green, orange, or red, maybe it was red, I don't know, it looks orange now, and yellow. Classic, horror, monster, just, pretty rad. Very cool book. I'm always amazed what they did in the 50s compared to today. It's still, a lot of people will say that the 50s is so much better, and 40s in terms of horror than even today. And I agree, and I think that's why these books will always be super collectible, and people will just want them because the covers and the art you just can't duplicate today. This is the one that had, I think, 1 pop staple up here and 1 staple kind of hanging on by a thread. It's the worst condition of all the books I've purchased, but it's definitely, does present well. And I don't know if it would be worth pressing, a book like this, but if this was in a really nice Mylar or in a CGC case, it would pop a lot more than it is in the book and the bag it's in right now. So I feel like this is the book that when you put it in the best possible holder, it's going to look really nice. Again, it's one of those books that I really love because of just how creepy and Creeping Death is the name of the cover. So Tales of Suspense and Mystery, number 28. And so, yeah, there you go. L.B. Cole. Very classic L.B. Cole book right there. All right. Next up, Startling Terror Tales. I can't talk today. Again, this is one of those books that is hard to kind of like explain to people. Like, the whole Startling Terror L.B. Cole run is highly, highly collectible. I mean, generally, any book from this run that's a Cole book is highly sought. This is one of the ones that, to me, is very detailed. So you can see in the last book, it was a lot of like green. It was supposed to be like a blob cover. This is actually very detailed. You've got skulls here. You've got, the universe out here. You've got a planet here. So it's a very detailed cover. Sometimes L.B. Cole doesn't do what I call a lot of details. He does a lot of these kind of really big monster, covers. Now you still got the big monster, the Gorgon, on the back, which is still a really cool concept. I think Stranger Things uses the Gorgon as well. And so, this is definitely one of those books that when you see it, you just, kind of fall in love with it if you like these kind of books. Again, the black and orange and green all fit together in yellow. And this is number 13, Startling Terror Tales, classic L.B. Cole book. So again, you can see the sides here, the spine. This one is actually got a very nice attached cover. So again, none of these are going to be super high grade, but these are very collectible and very desirable in grades. Anything from a 2.0 and higher. Bring good money. So here you go. Startling Terror Tales. Number 13, Love from a Gorgon, L.B. Cole. So that's the 3 raw L.B. Cole books I picked up for my personal collection. Next up, I'm going to go through some Spider-Man and some other variant covers I picked up recently. So here is, I'm going through them a little faster. So here's the Del Auto Spider-Man cover. This just came out, I believe. So I just picked this up on Whatnot. Again, a lot of these modern books I picked up on Whatnot, just kind of like browsing around. Spider-Gwen Gwenverse number 1 variant cover. I just like that one. I like the pastel look to it, even though it's not really pastel colors. It's just kind of that lighting effect they used. Looks really, really cool. So Spider-Gwen Gwenverse number 1 variant cover. Love a lot of Spider-Gwen variants when I can grab them. Another one, Spider-Gwen. This is the hip-hop variant. So again, Spider-Gwen number 1 hip-hop variant. There you go. Very cool book. Next up is, this is, I believe, Amato, the Final Fantasy art guy. This is, I think, Detective Comics. So there you go. Very cool cover. It's not worth a ton. It's basically worth what I paid for it. I think, I paid $10 for it. This was an eBay purchase. I just saw this cover and I wanted to order it. So I just kind of pre-ordered it for the $10, and it's not gone up in value, but it's just one of those really, I think, striking covers. Just a very different take on what the Batman looks like, or Catwoman and some of those rogue gallery. And I like anything that's different because I just like books that have a little bit of personality. This is Sam Wolf, Poison Ivy number 8. And again, for people who follow my channel at all, I talk a lot about Poison Ivy. She's one of the characters I collect. Like right here, you can see the Poison Ivy card I've collected there. So I just got graded. So I do collect Poison Ivy variant covers. And this is Sam Wolf, number 8, Poison Ivy, which is really cool. Her Blowing the Dandelion. Very nice. And then here is another one. I'm going to try to take the tape off. Again, when you order from Whatnot, a lot of times people just put your name on a piece of tape on your book, and that's how they know it's you. And this one is Jennifer Zahn. She's been doing a lot of great covers for the series. The foil covers that she's been doing are worth quite a bit, even today. So getting all of her covers plus the foils is sort of the game. I'm always going to wait on some of these a little bit, especially ones I don't think are, let's say, going to be super hot all the time. I think these are very nice covers, but history's shown that they go up and go down a little bit over time. So I'm going to wait on the foils for a little bit, but this one I picked up. It's the base one, but it's the Jennifer Zahn Poison Ivy #8 variant. Very nice, and she's been killing it on these covers. People have been loving these Zahn covers that she's been doing for Poison Ivy, and the foils have been going kind of nuts. All right, starting now with Spider-Man. Completing my Spider-Man run from 1 through the end of McFarlane's run, past 300, is my collecting goal long term. So I want to definitely get a few of the early books, 1 through 10, but I definitely want to fill out the back end of my run, and so these books are helping me fill it out. Now the first book here, Strange Tales, Annual #2, room 63, I believe it says right there. It's just a cool cover, and I just saw it and I really wanted it just because it looks cool. It looks old. Nice cover. I believe it's a second Spider-Man Torch cover. And again, it's not high grade. You can see the spine roll there. You can see all the ticks, and it's missing part of the corner. So not a high-end book, but it definitely looks like a cool book. It definitely has a great cover. A lot of color. So I grabbed it. Strange Tales Annual #2. And not really part of the run, but you can't ever have too many Spider-Man books. Next up is one I did need for the run, and this is early Spider-Man #54. It's a great cover. For some reason, the old Spider-Man, the way they did the color back on those old books just pops so much more. And you'll see when you get to this next book, I've got, how much difference the color is. And, on these older books, it's just kind of crazy. So 54, I need it for the set. I used to have it graded, but I think I sold it. So I'm grabbing 54. Again, these were mostly purchased on one night. Here's 257. And you can see, a little bit more washed out color compared to that cool Silver Age book. So 257. Again, I don't think anything much is happening here. Story-wise, I think it's just another book for the old collection. So we go into 296. Sorry. Got them all out of order here for a second. Yep. All right. Here we go. Sorry, I have them out of order. It's 258. Again, kind of, I think this is just Peter's conflict with the symbiote. I don't know. Him taking over his body. Just cool looking cover. I've seen this sell a few times on Whatnot. So it's a cover I think folks dig. So 258 there. So 257, 258. And then here is starting the 290. So 293. Part of the Kraven the Hunter storyline. I think this is where Kraven dies, I think. If you're going to do Kraven in the modern movie or bring him in, this could be the storyline that you would follow. So you see these sets, the storylines sell quite a bit on Whatnot, eBay. So 294. So again, I think this is a great Kraven cover with Spider-Man in the black suit looking behind. Still love that you saw black suit Spider-Man at this point. 295. This is what I would say if Sam Keith ever did a Spider-Man cover, I think it would look like this. I see this book sell a few times on Whatnot, and so it's just one of those books that's it's not rare, but it looks kind of different enough that people will look for it and buy it. So not a huge key book, but still pretty cool looking cover. 296. So again, getting close to that Fable 298, 299. So there's 296. Again, kind of a goofy looking cover. With the Spider-Man that looks like a real spider. And then here's 297, which goes back to more of a classic looking Spider-Man where you've got the black suit and Doc Ock. So a pretty cool looking book. For what it was at the time, before McFarlane took over. So still a pretty nice cover. Then here is 308. And Yeah, so here's a McFarlane number 308. So who kidnapped Mary Jane? I like the fact the seller I bought these from all that had this. He reused my bags and boards, so this is 1 in 50 ratio, $50. We all know this is not a 1 in 50 ratio, so 308. That's a McFarlane cover. I've always not liked this cover so much because I felt like the anatomy on Spider-Man this cover is so weird looking, like his neck and his head placement and his legs, and it's just like it looks really weird. So this is one of those times where I feel like the anatomy got away from McFarlane on this one a little bit. Not my favorite McFarlane cover by a long shot. You don't really see it like and anyone getting that look signed. So I think I'm not in the minority there. 310 again, super nice. Again, these are the covers I like because he's kind of doing the Batman effect here with Shrike Force, I guess the person's name. I don't know. Some of these storylines were not that great back in the day. There you go. But still, McFarlane cover, still really cool. And I like him always doing that corner art. I think that corner art's underrated. There you go. Next up is 317. Again, McFarlane, and this is cool because it reminds me a lot of the character. This character this drawing reminds me a lot of other characters. McFarlane's drawn like with Spawn, with kind of like the cape doing all kinds of crazy things in Spawn. So this kind of reminds me of that. You got Venom here laughing at Spider-Man. So I liked how you got the corner peak here. So you got all this stuff going on. I think McFarlane really had a lot of fun with the book and kind of the covers at this time. So these were always fun covers to look at as a kid. There you go, 317. And people for the most part, when you go to comic book shows, McFarlane and Campbell, or early Campbell and McFarlane covers always sell. So like this cover right here, $4.92, even though it's not part of the run I was going for, is just a cover of a book. The Spider-Man book I always look for because any Spider-Man book, generally with Mary Jane in it, sells really well. So here is $4.92. Campbell cover. Next up, here we go. And these are just some books I picked up, some variants. So these are some Spider-Man variants and some books I picked up recently. So you got the Demonized, pretty recent book, I believe. 910. So I just thought that was a cool Demonized version after McFarlane. Then you've got Spider-Man Unlimited #1. So you go Maximum Carnage begins here. So will we ever see Maximum Carnage brought to the screen? I'm not sure. I think the writing in the series wasn't that great. But still a cool cover and one of those books that people remember. And so when you have them at shows, people kind of look at them and say, yeah, I remember that book. Spider Island with Spider-Girl on it. So this is just a book I just picked up, and it is a limited series. And I think some of these folks, again, are banking on Spider-Girl coming in at some point. So there's a little mini series with her in it. Here's a cool variant cover. I forget who the artist is, but it's a very nice Spider-Ham cover. Again, this is kind of picking off the whole ASM 301 cover. So I think they did both a black suited Spider-Pig and the regular suited Spider-Pig. I just like Spider-Pig. I say Spider-Pig, I mean Peter Porker, but in my mind, he's Spider-Pig. So I like that name better than Peter Porker, the Spider-Ham. But that's his real name, but I still think Spider-Pig sounds cool. But that's a fun cover. I like any Peter Porker Spider covers. Here is another Campbell Gwen cover. That's all Win right there. Just very nice. Number 23, again, just another cool Campbell variant. And here we go. Second to last, this is Tyler Kirkham. So if you go on Whatnot, this is what happens a lot. So let's talk about this book for a second. So it's a nice cover. It's a nice comic book. I would have bought this regardless if it was on Whatnot or not, because I like Spider-Man covers. I like Gwen variant covers. And the reason why is because I'm a collector of Spider-Man and I like Spider-Gwen as well. But at conventions and Comic-Cons, I sell more of her and him and Miles than any other. Those three double every other sale I make of any other character, even Batman or any other Marvel character, right? So Spider-Gwen and Miles and Peter Parker, those covers tend to, in those comics, just do well. And I'll give you like 99% chance someone's going to buy this book at the show. It's going to be someone maybe dressed up like Spider-Gwen or just a Spider-Man fan who's going to be a female. So this cover is going to appeal to a lot of people. And the fact it's autographed, and it does have the COA on the back, it doesn't get you in the CGC 8, CGC yellow label, but still, love it. I like they use pink on it. So again, this is very nice. Now, what I'll say on the downside is that when you're on Whatnot, these books like this are everywhere. And, it's fun when you can get one, but it's just like, they'll have stacks of the Kirkham books or Ninja Funk or, what's the other one they sell a ton of? The Pooh books. And you have to wade through all those variants because some of these are Whatnot variants and to get to this one. So it took me forever to actually find someone selling this versus just showing it in the background and saying, ooh, this is going to come up in like 5 hours, And so I finally was able to get one. So that's cool. And it was signed. And I actually preferred if it wasn't signed, honestly. But the fact that it comes to COA and it came from him actually. So I don't mind that too much. And then last but not least is Spider-Man 692 variant. I like that black and white cool variant there. I just think it's very striking. So it was just cheap. When you're on Whatnot, these books come up and you're just like, hey, $5, $2, $10, you can pick up books. You can spend a lot of money really fast if you don't watch yourself. So that's the raw book. So this is, again, all PC stuff, books that are either, I mentioned that the Spider-Gwen might be something to bring to convention to sell, which is true. But, it's closer to a PC book than it is a book I would sell. Generally, I want multiple copies so I can keep one and sell the extra. So now for the graded books. Now, these books are part of a collection that I bought all at one time. And the reason why, I bought these is because I've been slowly picking these variants up over time. And generally they're not too cheap, even raw. They are, my favorite modern variants right now, just because they're not easy to get, but they are accessible. They're not super expensive, but not super cheap. They have enough volume and sales that you can actually go out and try to get one if you wanted to really buy one. And there's one super premium high-end one that's kind of a grail one, so it's still a little harder to obtain. So it kind of fits like it's going to take me a little work to get them. So I'm like grabbing them when I see them. Now this one seller was selling like 10 of these variants all one time, and it's just nuts. And it's the Milo Manera variants. So if you're not familiar with his work, Milo Manera is an Italian comic book and mostly graphic novel artist. I say that most people who know Milo Manera would know him from like heavy metal and books he did there. However, he starting in these came out starting like in 2010 till kind of recently. I don't know when his last one he did, but sporadically he would do these covers, these variant covers, and he did an amazing cover on for the Italian museum for Wonder Woman, and that one is super popular. So I know a lot of people who have the version of that book. It's quite pricey now. So his books do sell really well, and he's done some DC books, and he's done this book here. Now, I have this book raw, but then he was selling his collection was all graded 9.8. And so I went ahead and got this book at a good price in a 9.8 condition. So now I'm at a quandary as do I just fill out the whole set as graded? So now the key book in this run is the Spider-Woman book, which has a really controversial cover. If you've seen it, if you read back when it came out and know all the controversy about, the anatomy and the pose of the character, it is what it is. But it is a book that, still sells incredibly well today. It's really expensive. sells over $1,000 a lot of times. Now this book, definitely not $1,000 book, but it's a great Storm cover. You can't look at this cover and think, well, this artist is trash. This is a great visual representation of his of Storm. And you have to just say this is that he goes for a sexy look. He's an erotic artist. So if you're not ready for kind of a sexier take on the characters, and Monera variants, shouldn't be your thing, but people do like them. And when I was on Whatnot, he was selling like 10 of these. I picked up the ones I picked up, but the ones I lost, people were paying good money to grab these. So this is the first one. So X-Men 1 Monera variant. There you go. All right, next up is again another Monera variant. So again, I was lucky to pick up the ones I picked up, and I actually didn't own this one. So this one I don't even own raw. This is Uncanny Avengers number 8. This is from 2013, so the same year as this Storm came out. I'm trying to get rid of some of the glare, guys. That's all I'm trying to do. And so this is, again, a really nice Wasp cover. And you can see he does some really interesting things, like how he does her hair. Right? I'm trying not to get the glare. But it's just an interesting take on the character. Again, interesting poses. A lot of people, get upset with the poses because they think it's too hypersexual. But this one doesn't really scream that to me. It's just kind of an interesting pose, some cool hair. So it's not the most popular one. So this one sells pretty cheap, but in a 98 is still a good book. But this is probably one of the cheaper ones. And when he does like male characters, obviously they're not as popular as his female characters, just because of how he does these kind of books. So here you go. And last but not least, here we go. This is the X-Women cover. And, this is I think a really super nice one. Because you get multiple characters. So you got Storm, Psylocke. You've got Emma Frost and Rogue. I think that's all the characters on it. And this is the most, I think, this is definitely his style. Like the other two covers were, I think a Marvelized version of his style. This is 100% his style. His facial expressions, the female form, just everything about it. This is definitely Milo Manera. This is like the most, I think, true to his own style that he ever did on a cover. And it's just cool. And it's like, if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to like everything. But I think, still as a 9.8, I still think it's a super cool book. And again, this one's from 2010. So again, these are now getting to be 12, 13 years old. You don't see them all the time anymore. And that's what I was trying to point out is, these books are not something that you just see every day. So that's the collection, or my PC version of this video. And like I said, I've got a whole stack of Bronze and Silver Age books to go through next. And so I'll be bringing those up in the next video. When I go through all the other books I've been picking up, there are more for going to card shows or comic book conventions and to set up as a dealer. So that'll be the next video. Hope you stay tuned. Hope you like the comic book content. And let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.